will be recorded and later sent out to our members and will be posted on our YouTube channel. We have Meet the Candidate event tonight with Steve Englebright, who is our legislator for Suffolk County, and we have Laura Endres, who is the challenger. No questions will be allowed from the floor, spoken. Only written questions will be admitted. If you have a question, if there's a question that comes into your mind throughout the conversations, please make your way to our distinguished panel of our members in good standing. We have Rob, John, and Chris, who will be screening questions. They will take away repeating questions. If needed, merge them together into one. They will not allow for statements or insults. They will look for grammar and clarity, and I will read those questions as they come up. To allow time for our panel to screen the questions, the first 3 questions will come from the board of the Civic Association, which we finalized literally less than an hour ago. Without any further ado, I would like to invite our wonderful panelists. For the opening statements, we will have 2 minutes, and we'll allow our current incumbent to do the opening statements. Please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Courageous people who come out in the middle of a nor'easter. It's wonderful to have such a good turnout this evening. My name is Steve Englebright. I'm your county legislator. This is my second tour of duty as county legislator. I served first, beginning in 1984 for 9.5 years, and then I had a slight departure for 32 years to the State Assembly. I'm a geologist by training. I'm the only elected scientist, I believe, on Long Island. I'm interested in quality of life issues and things that matter to you, things that matter to your neighbors and your families. As a geologist, I've specialized in protecting drinking water, and I'm a published authority on Long Island's aquifer system and the geology of Long Island, and I am keenly interested in helping to translate that knowledge into policy that protects our sole source of drinking water. I'm also interested in the other main thing that draws me toward the county, which is the health department and the police department. Both of those agencies account for more than half of your Suffolk County tax dollar, and we're in the police district. The 5 West End towns comprise the police district. I'm hopeful that you might consider my record and consider me when you vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Laura?
Good evening. My name is Laura Endres. Professionally, I've been an attorney for 29 years and a business owner. I grew my law practice from 3 attorneys and 2 staff to 7 attorneys and 8 staff. What we do is we represent condo, HOA, and co-op boards. So we represent little cities in a way. We help them with their budgets. We help them with their large infrastructure projects, their contracts, their bylaws, their elections. So when I was asked if I was interested in running, I thought it would be a good fit. It wouldn't be completely something I didn't understand or had to learn everything about at least. So that's me professionally. Personally, I'm married to my husband Matthew. We have 7 children. My husband is a retired police officer and a veteran of 2 services, both the Marines and the Navy. Today's the Navy's birthday, by the way, 250 years. And basically, 4 of my sons are also veterans, so I care about veterans and police. And just quickly, I'd like to see 3 particular things happen with your district. One, Ed Romaine has an idea to extend the sewer to the golf course, much like the Indian Island project. And I think that could really help with the water. I've got 30 seconds. I would like to work, well, I'll talk about the rest later, but I would like to work with the board and the mayor in bringing some vitality, more vitality, because it's pretty vital, but to downtown Port Jeff. Thank you very much for considering.
Wonderful. We have 1 minute for each answers coming forward. Let's start with you. What will you do to ensure that the BESS projects, the battery energy storage sites, and their projects are sited safely and regulated in a way that protects life and safety of residents? Same
We
question
can't
will
hear
go
the
to
question.
you. Oh, what will our running candidates do to ensure that the battery storage facilities are appropriately located and protect life and safety of residents?
So, just to place it in perspective, the reason there is an interest generally in having battery storage is because we're in the process, I hope, of shifting to an electric society instead of a society that runs on fossil fuels. So within that context, the ability to store energy is very important. That being said, it has to be done safely. And at the present time, the mix of residences and industrial and commercial zoning in East Setauket is not sufficient. And so in the present form, I would caution that this is premature and that we need to plan it better.
Much in line with what Steve said, I don't think any of us really are very excited about the battery sites. We have to care about our water, and we don't know that they can be safe at this time, and there's not really enough studies to say that they are. I do believe that they're working on some safer batteries that could maybe be placed in different areas, but again, not near residences, and I think bus depots, there's one there, so I'm not even going to, I'll save the rest of my time.
The next question will go,
Right.
you'll be first. What will you do to protect our groundwater and surface water from runoff, contamination, and overuse as density expands all over Long Island?
So the sewer projects and upgrading the sewer infrastructure is very important, but we also have to get the funding for it. So that's a huge piece of it. We'd have to fight for funding to get the sewer projects in. There is funding for upgrade to septic systems, and there's grants out there. And my idea is not to wait for people to say, oh, my cesspool is failing, let me look at it now. The money's there now. So if we could get to the neighborhoods and try and get neighborhood efforts through the civics to have maybe whole neighborhoods at a time agree they're going to upgrade, it'll be a greater impact. So that's one of the things, and the way I am, I like to put policy into action. It's just me as a business owner, I have to show results. So that's what I'm going to try and do.
So, as I mentioned a moment ago, this is a priority for myself. I think it needs to be a priority for all of us because we have a sole source of drinking water. And the problem is that this is an oceanic island and there are limits. The goal should be for sustainability. And so the question of how to balance the needs for new housing, which is a real need, and the existing housing and wastewater treatment is all tangled together. It's an issue that I could talk about that for several hours, so I have about 5 seconds. and be happy to answer further questions about it, but it is a priority and I'm working on it.
You will be going next. We are right now experiencing a nor'easter. The flooding is part and parcel of our life in Port Jeff. What will you do to strengthen our local, but also the county's preparedness and response for storms, flooding, and other natural disasters?
Well, clearly the weather patterns that we've seen are driven by climate change. That I mentioned a moment ago is something that is tied back to the question of how we generate power, energy generally, and we really need to find a balance between our needs for energy and the type of pollutants that we're pumping into the atmosphere, which is in turn creating oceanic acidification and is also creating a hotter ocean. It's an overheated ocean that's driving these storms. The county role is one that is to basically be a forum for advocating for the right ideas. We don't have the power at the county level to actually write the laws. I did that when I was at the state level though and received national acclaim.
I don't like the saying that you can't beat Mother Nature, but you can be prepared for it, and we can get our citizens ready and give them the resources that they need. I would be very proactive in getting out there, reaching out to maybe a lot of citizens who don't know the resources out there and the help that they can get and where to go in a storm if, you know, we get another really bad storm where they have to go to safety. So that is the way I would work at it. Of course, any other ways that we can combat the weather changes, I'm all for, but we have to prepare and get the word out and help our citizens.
You will go next? Do you guys want to stay?
Lightning round.
Yes.
I
Sit
think,
in and
let me
stay.
see,
It's like-
yeah, we might as well.
Because it's very short back and forth.
True.
So, a double whammy. How do you square this circle? How will you promote affordable housing while protecting us from overdevelopment?
Well, we have to have a full-on plan, probably in each district, and we have to really put the pressure on the developers to give us more, not just a couple, but exceed the requirements of the housing that's affordable for people. And also, I would encourage that any of them that are getting any tax breaks or dollars, that they provide housing that builds wealth, you know, for generational wealth for people. They can buy the apartments, not just be renters. We want them coming here and starting families and filling our schools and really being part of our tax base. So we gotta try, we gotta keep pushing them.
I'm going to step forward.
Please do.
This is an issue that really is something I notice every time I see a graduating class from one of our local high schools. We want to keep our families together, we want to keep our children here, and we need to provide housing. Planning is an awful big part of that. We have a superb Suffolk County Planning Department, and if you don't think, you're not going to solve this problem. That's what planning is all about. I support the planning department, I support the bi-county regional planning board, and I support bringing additional funds from state and federal government to support initiatives at the county level. At the county level, we also have land that is not worthy of being made into parkland, and I have supported every resolution that translates moving that land to the towns, so that the towns, which have zoning power, can use it wisely to create some of the new and necessary affordable housing.
The next question you will have a chance to answer. what do you see as the future for the power plant in Port Jefferson? And what can you do about it?
I think that the power plant needs to continue to be an important part of the tax base of this community. At the same time, it's one of the dirtiest when it is running, and it only runs about 5 or 6% of the time. But when it is running, it's one of the dirtiest power plants in the state. That's a contradiction. The way to resolve that contradiction is to have, oh yes, planning, to think ahead and to find new and appropriate energy uses for this very large site. We mentioned batteries before. I think we need to look at the possibility of that site, which is much, much larger than the proposed site at Chippewa, next to the Greek church. We need to think about that as a possible transition for battery storage. But the batteries have to be safe. You don't want to have what happened in San Francisco to happen here.
So, a few things with the life plan. We need the people who are invested to be part of that solution. Has to be transparent, whether it's the trustees or Civic board. We really need to do that. We need to do that quickly. The exemption deal is done in 2 years. In government time, that's like tomorrow. So we really have to get on that immediately. For whatever, LIPA wants to do, we have to start sending messages to LIPA about what they can and what will be acceptable and what won't be acceptable. Because that's a huge part of our tax base, and we have to think about maybe growing our tax base someplace else also. We can't just be dependent on that huge piece there. So that's my idea.
As a follow-up to this question, our community is asking, what is your position on alternative sources of energy in our area? So we'll go first.
I think we need to be as alternative as we can. Every single different way we can get energy, we should. I think we should have a choice. I'm not a big proponent of all electric because I have a gas stove and I like it, and I like gas fireplaces and different things like that. So I don't like only having one source, but I'm really for solar. Getting the solar panels onto all the government buildings that we can get. Let's try and bring in as much revenue and as much ease to the energy problem that we have.
Well, first, I have to say I'm one of the pioneers of solar energy. I'm the original sponsor of the Solar Choice Act, the Solar Net Metering Act, the law that allows every customer class to be eligible for net metering. I'm a prime sponsor of the law that allows for net metering of wind energy. The reality is that the way to translate that locally is to have some examples. I also brought home a grant that put the first solar on a school on Long Island in the Comstock School District. I believe that the flat roofs at the university, where they have no solar at all, is where we should be pushing to get solar energy. And there are good reasons why the university, they entered into a contract with a gas company 26 years ago. That contract is up. This is the time to move forward and use that university as a model.
It sounds like environmental issues are one of the bigger concerns here. Very recently, the county sewage treatment plant in Port Jefferson had a spill of untreated sewage into the harbor. What can the county do about better protecting water quality, and what can you do to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
So I'm very strongly favorable to water reuse for treated sewage, because treated sewage at the level that we're treating it, to the tertiary level, is theoretically clean enough to drink. It's certainly a model that we have already before us in the hamlet just south of Riverhead at the Indian Island Golf Course, where that sewage treatment facility for Riverhead uses treated wastewater to irrigate the fairways and greens. We should be doing something similar to that. I should also point out that this is a specific county obligation and responsibility. I was the original person who pushed for the cleanup of SD1, the old sewer district, and to connect it to an improved sewer district at SD21 at the university. I could again talk about this at some length, but we're out of time.
As I mentioned in my opening, I am for that extension of the sewers for the golf course idea. I'm also for getting a lot of ideas put to use. There's a lot of good things out there. We have to implement them. We have to get moving. We don't need to wait another 60 years to see a change. I think that we just have to secure the funding and provide the stability and hopefully the resources that we won't have another, so fast, we won't have another incident like that. The harbor already is taking on too much, and there's plenty of solutions, but we have to pick one, we have to go with it. So I'm for moving government along, and that's what I'd like to get done.
Now we're going into more controversial topics. How will you protect me from ICE? And I suspect it's ISE, which is, what does it stand for? Immigration
Customs enforcement.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, rather than ICE, which we drink.
So currently, the Suffolk County Police Department is not working in conjunction with ICE. They're not calling them and helping them with raids, and I don't think that our county executive is for that. Much against what is happening in Nassau County. Of course, I personally, I'm very pro law enforcement. I understand all the issues that are going on with our police, and I think they have enough danger as it is. So especially our Suffolk County Police do not need to get involved in this. One of the reasons why I'm running is because I really love people and I love our neighbors, and I wouldn't be pro ICE coming in and working with our county police department at all.
On the Public Safety Committee, and by the way, I've received the endorsement of all of the police unions in the county and the region. One of the reasons that I am so invested in the work of the Public Safety Committee is because the safety and security of our families is at stake. So it's very important that we support our police. I don't know where the idea came to defund police in the past, but I'm quite the opposite. I think that we should be supporting our police and investing into the kinds of safety that they represent. ICE, I made sure, as a member of that committee, that ICE did not have the Suffolk County Police as an extension of themselves.
And we're back to quality of life issues. What will you do to balance development and open space to make sure that our environment is protected?
This is something that I have right in the center of my field of vision for the last 40 years. I was the person who, in my first tour of duty in the county legislature, was the leading voice calling for the use of the tool of parkland to protect open space. As a result, I pushed successfully for funding. You don't just regulate, you have to compensate if you're going to take land. But fast forward to the present time, as a result of some of the work that I've done and along with my colleagues, we now have the largest county park system, 62,000 acres. That's up from about 6,000 acres when I first entered office. This is the largest county park system east of the Rocky Mountains.
So first let me say that I am police family. To go back to the last question, my father is a retired police officer, my husband's a retired police officer, and I will never vote for anything that will put our police in jeopardy. And I'm just going to leave it there. My record will always show that I support the police and safety of our residents. Now, with regard to open space, I'm very against development. I am only for redevelopment. We've got plenty of room for that. I would like to encourage or make a program where if the developers want to develop, they have to give us some money for our open space fund and provide us with sources to start protecting that open space and helping our groundwater.
Can I do a follow-up, because we have only, by the way, we have only one more question left. If you have any questions that you would like to ask candidates, please make your way over here. Please do write them down. But because we do have time, and the same question will apply to you.
Is it my turn still?
Yes.
Oh.
We talk about, let's pay for the open space, like in our village right now. We can't make any more land. And the fact that the developers come in and they develop even more dense communities, they make a parkland fee. And there's not much we can do with that money because we can't create any more land. Yet, it is written into the network of how our state and the country operates. It's property rights, right? If you own that land, you have as of right certain amount of development that you can do. So I'm just really curious, what kind of tools, how would you, it literally square in that circle, right? You have the right to develop, but we don't want you to develop. You pay us a fee and we can't recreate with the money because there's no space to recreate. So what are the tools can you actually activate in order to make it eatable, let's put it that
Yes,
way?
well, it's all about negotiation and compromise. And you have to make it where the developer is getting some of what they want and we are getting some of what we want. And that's all it comes down to. And there's always a solution. You have to get the people in the room, you have to make the solution, you have to find what works for everybody. It's not just one way or the other. So that's what it all comes down to. And there's so many different things that are, so many different innovations. And again, the carrot and the stick. You want this? Well, we want that. So maybe it'll have to change. Maybe it'll have to be some sort of other incentives that they have to give us in order to develop. Redevelop is more what I like.
So, the first thing, again, I think, is planning. You really need to evaluate what open space exists, and how it's zoned, and what the costs are going to be. Then the next thing is that you have to put some money in place. I've led the effort on that repeatedly, going to the public with public referenda and asking the public to authorize for indebtedness to cover the costs of acquisition of open space. And repeatedly, the public has said yes. I'm also the prime sponsor, the original prime sponsor of the largest environmental bond act in state history, which includes the largest sum for open space. And that, of course, is a $4.2 billion authorization that the people of the state also authorized.
We are a coastal community. How can you help us to plan and address erosion at the East Beach?
Well, I had an opportunity to speak before this Civic a few months back. The reality is that it's not just one segment of coastline that we're dealing with here. It's about 60 miles of coastline, and it's all connected in terms of erosion and depositional processes. I believe that we have some buildings that are too close to the bluff. And if you have room, as we do with the 172-acre golf club that the village owns, we should be planning, again, thinking ahead, anticipating and retreating, because there is no way to continue to indebt the people of this village at $5 million or more at a time to fight against a process that is much larger than the village.
Not to sound like a broken record, but we have to make a plan and we have to implement it and we have to get the funding for it. Every day it's eroding more and more. So no more talking, we have to put it to action and figure out how we're going to do it and get it done. And I know that government can do that because the more we apply some business principles to government, the more we can get it to move along, cut through the red tape, and let's get it done.
What is your stance on bail reform?
Wow.
Say it again? What is your stance on bail reform?
I think it is a measure that is very harmful to the police. I think people have already lost their lives and been harmed over that. I think that there has to be a middle ground, not where the judges have no discretion and there has to be a change to it. It's very dangerous, and we see it every day. There are criminals that are committing crimes, and they shouldn't be put right back out on the street the same day. So we have to fix that.
So we don't control this at the county level. It's a state level issue. Unfortunately, I think it was about 5 years ago, along with the budget, the largest responsibility of a state legislator, the governor at that time put into the budget, which includes money for our schools and our local roads, etc., a bail reform that was indigestible. It should not have been done that way. It was. I immediately started advocating for changes to it. I still advocate for changes to it because although some of those changes have been afforded, we need to make sure that we give judges discretion, but we shouldn't also be giving criminals and people who are dangerous to our community a way to go back on the street.
What is your opinion on antisocial behavior and protection of public spaces legislation, especially as it pertains to e-bikes?
Is it my turn?
Use mine.
Steve's, and then it's yours.
I almost hit an e-bike the other day, or did it almost hit me? Well, I was in my car. I think the e-bike would have fared worse than the front end of my car. I didn't hit that person, I'm pleased to say, but these are out of control and quite dangerous, and they don't have licenses. This, it seems to me, is something that we should try to address at the county level. If the state doesn't take it up and we're not precluded from addressing it, I'm prepared to address it at the local level. It's dangerous and reckless.
So at last month's 6th District Precinct meeting, the officers there promised that they are going to address that as much as they can, and they asked for everyone to help them get out the information about which of these bikes are illegal and which ones are legal, because I think many times if we see some of the youth that are zipping around in these without helmets and whatever, they don't have the money to buy these. So obviously someone is buying it for them and maybe don't realize the full extent of what this e-bike can do and how fast it can go and how dangerous it is. So I think we need to get out a public information campaign of what is allowable and what isn't, and then do what we can, of course, to legislate for it.
If I can usurp my power and add to that, one of the issues that we struggle a lot for Jeff, we don't have our own police department, and these modified cars that go with super high speed and with super loud exhaust noises. Is there anything could be done at the Suffolk Council level to counter that? Because the police basically says, well, unless we catch them in the act, there's nothing we can do.
Right, so I was speaking to a bunch of business owners about this. They're very concerned about it. They say that these loud cars that coming down scare away patrons, or they're right outside of the restaurants and it's really bothering them. So, of course, the police have to see the crime getting done, but one of the owners did take pictures of the license plates, and the police did go out and get them. So we have to be a little bit proactive and try and work as a community to stop this. And of course, encourage our police to keep enforcing the laws. They're there already.
So, again, there's a certain overlap of policing and law relating to public safety between the state level and the county level. The county can't do something if that issue has already been taken up by the state. We're precluded legally from trying to preempt the state legislature. However, I should point out that similar to the issue with the e-bikes and the loud cars and the disregard for public sensibilities, we had a real problem about 20 years ago, when I was 30 years ago now, when I was first in the county legislature. I worked with former PBA leader named Pat Mahoney, a Republican from the South Shore, and we went after and created local law dealing with dirt bikes. They were completely out of control, unlicensed, very similar to some of the things we're talking about here. And so I'm ready to push the envelope and try to do something at the county level. And if the state doesn't like it, at least we'll have a conversation that the public will be a part of.
Now we're on to transportation. There has been recent discussion to build a bridge from Long Island to Connecticut. What is your position on the issue?
Well, we can't get done already the infrastructure issues that we have. So I would have to do a lot more research on that to really give a good opinion on it. I'm not there to vote on anything like that yet. So I think we need to work on the infrastructure and the bridges that we have to address now. We have a couple of bridges already in the district that need to be fixed.
This is not a new issue. The idea of connecting Long Island to Connecticut is at least a 50-year-old issue. The problem is not whether we're on this side of the Long Island side ready to do it. In fact, the William Floyd Parkway was built ready to jump across the widest part of Long Island Sound. Similarly, Ralph Marino, when he was the majority leader of the state Senate, advocated against building the bridge from Oyster Bay to Rye. It's not a new issue. The real problem is they don't want to have the bridge on Connecticut's side of the Sound. So the idea of doing this is remote unless there's an agreement, a bi-state agreement, and it shouldn't be at the widest part of the Sound. It shouldn't be at Plum Gut either, which is 400 feet deep. You couldn't even put the stanchions in.
how can you help us to get the electrification of the Port Jefferson line?
My turn, right?
Yes.
Okay. I've been working on this. Again, the planning department is very important. I've been working for about 20 years. I helped create the Greenway when I was first a county legislator. And one of the properties that the Greenway goes through, this is Suffolk Port Jeff Station Greenway, is the Lawrence Aviation property. The Lawrence Aviation property tax defaulted, came to the county. The county now controls it, and we have a good plan at last. That plan needs to be implemented, and working with Rebecca Cassay, I believe that we're going to be able to coordinate it going forward and make it happen.
I would love to see that happen, but I think unfortunately we're just the piggy bank for the MTA. They keep promising us it's going to happen. They keep moving the stick, saying, okay, do this, do this, do this. If it can happen, I'll be all for it, and I'll work as hard as I can to make it happen. But the research I've done and the people I've spoken to, it doesn't seem like it's likely. They just keep promising and not delivering. Sorry for the bad news.
Any more questions? I ran out of all of my cards. Any questions one? Any questions two? Would you like to write them down? Because unfortunately, we will not allow statements from the audience due to a variety of issues we had before. Questions? Any more? Please. Our candidates will have a little bit of a reprieve.
Keep those cards and letters coming.
It seems like we covered environment, natural disasters, water, which is kind of like all into one, transportation, and our police. Just good questions we have. One of the questions, if I could ask, is really interesting for us as a Port Jefferson. We have a state entity, MTA. We have a private entity that connects us interstate, the ferry. We deal with the property of the town, some properties of the county. We are such a complicated village where there's so many different actors keep on piling. And at times it just feels like it's an impenetrable maze of who's responsible for what. How can you help us to navigate that better, both for us as a civic association, because sometimes a question comes to us and we just don't even know where to direct them. So let's use that as a filler.
Okay. My law practice is very well known for providing very good service. People call my office. They are very impressed with my employees because we care and we get things done. So one of my initiatives definitely will be to have the best constituent services there ever will be. No disrespect to any other legislator ever, but I'm going to work it, and I'm going to have my people out there, and I'm going to help them navigate the red tape until I can kind of put things in order and try and get things a little bit more cooperative between each governmental process and get people speaking to each other and try and get things done.
So the sad reality is that many people don't understand why we have so many different levels of government and what each of their responsibilities are. And so it's a little disorienting when you have an issue or a problem and you don't know where to turn, in part because we didn't have a civic lesson on that when we were in high school. I believe that it's very, very important for the function of government and for the efficiency of government to have a better informed public, and that should include adding civics and government as classes of information to be taught to the social studies curriculum of our high schools.
Speaking of a variety of red tape, what can you do and how can you help us with relocating Port Jeff Fire Department uphill, especially to be able to acquire one of the St. Charles properties? Thoughts, ideas, especially when it comes to the emergency responses?
So I'm very concerned that the Crayon Building and the Mary Haven building, I spoke to Nick Acampora recently. I received a letter from him from the Historical Society of Port Jefferson, rightfully pointing out that these are necessary parts of the village to plan for, and particularly the Mary Haven building is a landmark and should not just be discarded or altered or knocked down. I have suggested in the past and spoken to some of the members of the fire department that they acquire, because they're on low ground, they're part of Drowned Meadow, unfortunately, and they get drowned regularly. I have suggested that they buy adjacent property so that that building can be recycled. You can use the upper floors and bridge over to another adjacent or nearby property. So you don't have to go up by the hospital, but either way, we should preserve the architectural treasure that is Mary Haven, and we should also literally elevate the fire department.
I'm very impressed with the people of Port Jeff Village, and I think they're going to come to a solution. You're all very intelligent, very involved. One of the things I've been asking is, are there any state funds out there to help the fire department stay where they are, to fix the issue? I know it might be a big issue, but moving the fire department might even be a bigger issue. So that's really my thoughts on it. Of course, it's a village matter, but maybe there are those possibilities out there.
We have an interesting dilemma. Increased population and bigger cars. So this together creates a traffic much greater than normal. What can be done about it?
So not only is there a traffic issue, there's parking issue, right? Is that like the elephant in the room? So it's the traffic and then we have the parking.
I think it's a combination of all of
It is
this.
planning, and we have to look to the future. It's coming. It's not going to be any less, and we're not going to be able to support our businesses if we don't have any ideas and solutions for the parking and the traffic. So one of the things that I have a passion about is a lot of our young people today either don't want to drive or can't afford it because the insurance is so high. So we have to look at transportation and maybe, increasing our bus lines and addressing where you don't have to walk 2 miles to get a bus might be one of the answers to fix the transportation and traffic issue.
So the county is responsible for the buses. So we contract for the buses, and I think that we should be encouraging people to use the buses more often, and to do that, in fact, is something that people become familiar with and very comfortable with once they use the buses. We might want to find a way to incentivize people to try the buses. If they try it a certain half dozen times, and incentivize them to do so, I think you'll see that there's less reliance upon automobiles.
Any more questions?
I do. So,
No.
I just have to ask you a question. So there's 2 questions that I wrote. None of them were answered or even read out. Is there a reason for that? Because the second one, I think, was a very reasonable question to
Which one of those? Can you show me the question? technical difficulties. Any more questions?
Yes, I have it.
What's that?
My question was not asked either.
Come, show me. Because there's a reason why we did that. I don't choose the questions.
Okay.
That's why we have a panel. But you also could, after the fact, you could do that.
Yes.
I could do that, yeah. Alrighty. The question is, a lot of things seem to be very similar in how you respond. What are the core disagreements do you have with each of your opponents? Where are you different?
I don't know that we have core disagreements as much as we operate in different ways. Yes. That would be my answer.
I'm not sure that that we have only really met each other a couple of times. And quite frankly, you've never been involved with civic activities. And you've never been involved with issues in the community that I have simultaneously been involved with, so I don't know much about you. I'm not sure this is a disagreement, but it is a flashing yellow caution light as to I'm not sure we know really anything about you. And so maybe that falls into the category of disagreement. It's certainly something that I wonder about in terms of motivation.
So, if you would like to know my motivation, it's not very motivating to step up to run for county legislature. If you notice, most of the ballots, most of the people hardly have any opponent at all. And that was one of my motivations, because people are afraid to step up and run for office. I love what I do. I have a thriving law practice, and I'm doing this as a civic duty. My grandfather, my father, my husband, my sons, they've all served in the military. I didn't do that. This is going to be my service if I'm elected. I serve in a charitable way. I serve my neighbors every day. I'm out in the community. I'm a Rotarian. I'm in the Chambers of Commerce. I've business networked. I raised 7 children here. So this is a sacrifice for me, but I think it's worth it, because I think we need a change. And it doesn't mean that things are bad particularly, but I think that we can have more and do more. And I want to be out there, and I want to help people, and I think I can do it. So that's my motivation. It's no other motivation whatsoever. And also, I want to show people, step up and do it. Get people to serve. We can't have these ballots that have no opponents on them. So that's me.
I have one more question incoming. Service, while we're waiting for that question. One of the reasons why we as a civic association were able to come together is we knew that we have the protection of the law. We have the extension. Just because we are a registered organization, we can reach out to our local representatives. And it's not that we necessarily have more response, but it kind of like gives us a little bit more of a clout. We're a civic association. We are a registered entity. We're recognized by the state, and it just really helped us. And we definitely find it at times really difficult to find other volunteer organizations to team up with. What can you do to facilitate the creation of those things? Because we all have jobs, we all have other responsibilities. Not fun to step forward. How can, if anything, council do to kind of like foster a little bit more engagement? So let's start with you.
Me?
Sure.
Okay. That's one of the things that I'm really good at, is partnering people. When I see someone who needs this, I know somebody who can give it to them. So one of the things I really would like to do is create more partnerships in government, like the one they just did at Romaine Pass with the domestic violence partnership with the Suffolk County Police Department. My part in Well, my interest in domestic violence, I served on the Bride of Tomorrow's Domestic Violence Board, and the way I partnered them was, I partnered them with the interior design professor at Suffolk County Community College, because the domestic violence shelters are not so pretty, okay? And some of the people who go to them are coming from nice homes, believe it or not. It's not all people who aren't. And so they work together to have the students recreate and paint and design the domestic violence shelters for Bride of Tomorrow. So I like to partner people, so I like that question.
So, when I was a teacher, my students, I taught in the Elwood School District some years ago, my students didn't seem to have a sense of place. They didn't know how they fitted in. Fast forward, in the years that I've had the privilege to serve this community, I have tried to help protect those artifacts of history, our built structures, our cultural heritage, our historic heritage, to give a sense of place. That should be something that brings people together for the common good and for increasing the strength of the community. Have a sense of how we each fit in to the history of our home community.
There is a frustration over rising crime rates and worsening economy. What are your suggestions to help to gain the trust of the people, or specific changes you will make?
So, once again, I really am very concerned about ICE coming into Suffolk County. By the way, we had a hearing just the other day. The district attorney made it very clear that we have the lowest crime rate for any county in the state, over 100,000 population. So we're doing pretty good. The object of this exercise is to properly fund the police and to make sure that we stay doing good, and that our relationship of independence from the masked and unbadged people from ICE, I think, is very important. Our police need to remain independent, and that their mission proudly is to serve their own neighbors. They are us, and we should support them.
I think one of the reasons why we have a lower crime rate is because we have such a great district attorney, and that we haven't followed suit with many of the mandates or changes that the state wants to see happen. So we've kind of insulated ourselves here. And with regard to the economy, time is money. We need to get people, business people, to get their licenses faster, know how to get the process done, and then they need the support. They need to know about all the support out there, the SBA, and classes in partnership with both the college and the university, and with the different hospitals in the area. So we have a very amazing district if you think about it. We've got a university, we've got 3 hospitals, we've got a harbor, we've got big box retail, we've got small. So we have an amazing district.
Alrighty. It is time for our closing statements.
Okay.
You have 3 minutes.
All right, so that's good. So again, a little bit more about myself. Some of my background, I grew up in Brookhaven Hamlet. My first, we were surrounded by farmland there. My first job was actually on the farm in my little hometown. I graduated from Bellport. I went to Suffolk Community College. There I was inspired by my Long Island history teacher to go to Stony Brook to be a history teacher, but I wound up graduating with a social studies degree in cultural anthropology. And I taught for a little while, but I said, no, I needed something different, and that's when I went to law school. I had my first daughter in my 2nd year of law school. That was an exciting time, but I did very well there. When I got out of law school, I opened up my own law practice. I used the mentoring program at the Bar Association, and that's why I still mentor new attorneys to this day. We always have 3 to 5 interns in my office. I think it's very important. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. So I also, out of law school, a couple of years later, I was the deputy county clerk. I worked with Ed Romaine and Dan Panico there. That's how they know what my work ethic is and what I can get done. I was the supervisor of the 130 clerks there. I ran all the departments. I trained them. I worked the window if somebody was out and didn't have anybody to work the window. I like to work, and I like to work with people. So I was the project manager on the computer system that was put in place there to move from microfiche to now you can go online and see different things, see all your land records and your judgments. Some of my other background, I worked for the Suffolk County Parks Department. I worked for the Town of Brookhaven Code Enforcement. I've done every job you could name. Telephone operator, deliver food. So I have a varied work experience, and I value people who like to work like I do.
3 minutes.
So I have more to share with you than I have time, but I'll try to summarize. I have a quite extensive record of service to the community, almost 40 years. I think that that's valuable to the community. I think it's something that has been demonstrated of value to the community. Just look around, you can see the first state forest, for example, across from the Stop and Shop in Setauket. You can see the support that I've provided for cleaning up the harbor, the sewer district. When I first came into county office, the sewer district at the university was sending really dirty, untreated sewage to sewer plant here in Port Jefferson. And we had Oklahoma gushers from frequent breaks in the line. I secured the funding for that and more. Over time, look at my record. That's all I ask that you do. Take a look at my record. I think it's predictive of what I will do if you afford me the opportunity to serve you going forward in this next term. I am passionate about the work of this community. I'm passionate about being your voice at the county legislative level of government. And I ask for your consideration when you vote on November 4th. Please give me an opportunity to continue to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's welcome our county challenger and the incumbent. I hope to see all of you on November 4th at the ballot box. Our next meeting will be November. Are you doing another meeting? Can you do it?
Oh, we have like 7 more.
Oh, wonderful. Our
Something
next
like that.
Civic Association will be the second Monday of November. We haven't decided the topic yet, but we will definitely reach out with the announcement. In the meantime, please linger around. We need to clear this room at 8:45. We have almost an hour before we absolutely must leave. And thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.